Hello, I'm Daniel. I am the first Vice President of NTEU Chapter 66. And I'm going to give you a little bit of the story about where we are and how we've gotten here. So for our purposes, this story starts in 2023. In 2023, Russell Vought said at an event that he wanted to put federal workers in trauma. He wanted federal workers to be uncomfortable at work and to dread going in every day. Okay, I'll tell you Russell Vought is in a bit. But also in 2023, a document came out called Project 2025. This was created by a think tank to be a blueprint for what they thought the next president should do. For our purposes, this included taking away some union rights from federal workers and trying to heavily downsize the federal workforce, okay? So during the campaign, candidate Trump said he had no idea what Project 2025 was and disavowed that it had any connection to him. He said it was not his agenda, okay? Once he was elected, he made Russell Vought his director of OMB, Office of Management and Budget, as well as putting various other writers of Project 2025 into prominent positions, okay? On January 20th, when Donald Trump was inaugurated as the president, he wrote an executive order declaring that federal workers cannot work remotely anymore, okay? We were important enough to be day one. Our union contract has the right to telework for some employees in some positions in there. I'm sure other federal agency contracts have similar things. Some agencies have been working from home for years. So this executive order directly violated a contract the moment it was put into action, okay? January 28th of 2025, federal workers across many agencies received what we have come to call the fork in the road email. It would later come to be called the Deferred Resignation Program. This was an opportunity that was offered to federal workers to resign under certain terms, and then they would still get paid for a certain amount of time while not working. People were given a very short amount of time to decide if they wanted to take this deal, and the terms were not well written or easily understood. A lot of people took it because they were afraid. February 14th, 2025, Valentine's Day, an event that I call the Purge happened. Workers that were in their first year in federal service were fired, not for any reason, just an effort at downsizing. We typically have a 1-year probation in the federal service, which means in your first year it's easier for the agency to remove you. A judge would later rule that all those employees had to be brought back because the probationary period doesn't exist just so people can get fired en masse for no reason. Okay, so those people did get the opportunity to come back. Most agencies officially ended their telework in March of last year, nearly 2 months after the executive order telling them to end it came out. March 27th last year, Executive Order 14251 was signed. It's called the Exclusions from Federal Labor Management Relations Programs. This order claimed that collective bargaining was not compatible with national security at dozens of federal agencies. Some of these agencies included Department of Treasury, the Environmental Protection Agency, Department of Defense, Department of Health and Human Services, Veterans Affairs, Department of Justice, many others. Over 1 million workers are impacted by this. This is the biggest effort at union busting in American history. For context, there are less than 20 million union workers in America. So taking 1 million people out of that, that's over 5% of all union workers, okay? Following this, NTEU and the other federal unions filed lawsuits, arguing that the administration exceeded its authority and was unlawfully attempting to take rights away from workers. On April 9th, the federal agencies abruptly stopped allowing payroll deduction to be used for union dues. They did not tell us they were doing it, they just suddenly did. We are, at this time, still trying to get our members to sign up for alternative payment methods, and we know the other federal unions are doing the same. We're fighting for our lives, and this is how we stay in the fight. Solidarity. Also in April, the agency stopped hearing grievances. They declared all grievances were going into abeyance, which means paused until further notice. I believe this happened at numerous agencies. I just know for sure it happened at the IRS. Okay. In June, a federal judge issued an injunction saying the administration cannot implement removing collective bargaining until this case is done moving through the court system. But then in late July, an appeals court lifted that injunction and said the executive branch can go ahead and do what they want. In August last year, the administration started declaring union contracts void at some agencies. They didn't do them all at once, and ours held on for a bit. We'll get to that soon. But they started at that time. And on August 28th, the president signed another executive order called the, not creative really, Further Exclusions from Federal Labor Management Relations Program. Further exclusions. At that time, a few more agencies were added, including cool ones like NASA and the National Weather Service. Okay, so those people, they had their union rights taken. On December 11th last year, the House of Representatives passed a bill called the Protect America's Workforce Act. If this was signed into law, it would codify union rights for federal workers. It would make it a law that we have the right to have a union, and we wouldn't have to wait for the courts to resolve this. This has not been brought to the Senate floor at this time. I learned in researching all this that a whole lot of things pass the House and just never get heard in the Senate. It matters a lot who controls the Senate because the Senate Majority Leader gets to just decide what to bring to the floor for a vote. On February 27th, the IRS declared our contract void. They started the process of closing our union office and sent our union stewards back to their work areas very soon after this. Since then, we have seen what the agency would like to do if they didn't have to worry about workers coming together. At our agency, we've had numerous weeks of mandatory overtime in some areas in a row. We've seen the removal of alternative work schedules, which was one of the few tools we have to maintain work-life balance. We have seen the agency choose not to close the building when we're across the street from FIFA Fan Fest, which is expected to bring thousands and thousands of people into the area. And this is maybe smaller, but without explanation, public bulletin boards have been taken away. Our workers used to use those to look for ride sharing or advertise their small business or just encourage each other. Unclear why the agency would want to silence the workers, but that sure isn't a good sign, right? That's the story so far. I hope I've explained it okay. If you're not a member of your federal union, please join. If you're a member and you're not currently paying dues, please sign up to do that. We need everyone. And if you're not registered to vote, please register to vote so we can try to change this in November by changing a few things. That's it for today. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. I know this has been a long one. I hope I don't talk too fast. I love you all. Have a good day.